Salmon farming sometimes gets a bad press, so I wanted to learn more about it and see for myself how it's done. Ireland is unique in that all the salmon farms here are organic, and this makes the salmon produced here highly sought after around the world, with more than 75% of it being exported. This is Clew Bay, where Clare Island Organic Salmon has one of its farms. And we're particularly lucky with the weather because it's not always like this, sure it's not.
No, this is one of the most exposed sites we feel in the world. There's a bit of banter that goes on between the sites. We have other sites in the southwest and also in the northwest. But I think this wins on exposure. Extreme currents run through these sites every day. So the fish are swimming very hard to keep up with the currents, and they're very athletic.
I've used your products, and what I love about it is the consistency. The texture is good and it's very lean, so that means they're moving. Is that right?
Yeah, the muscle texture is caused by the current.
And you only do organic salmon here?
We do. We converted all to organic salmon last year, so we're very proud now to be an organic producer. This is the first organic site in Ireland. These are pens. There's about 8 of these on site, and they would have around 40,000 fish. The density of these pens for the organic standard would be 10 kgs per cubic metre, and for the conventional it'd be up at 20. So it's 99% water, 1% fish.
And how deep are the pens?
So the pens are about 20 metres in depth.
And what about the feed?
The feed. So we use organic feed that comes from all of the byproducts that come from pelagic fish like mackerel. So it would be the bones, the heads, they're all ground up and put into the feed. One of the most important things about the feed is the conversion rate. So when you're feeding the fish here, we have a rate of 1.2 kilo to convert into a kilo of fish. So it's a great conversion rate comparison to other proteins.
And how often would they be fed?
So they'll be fed like once or twice a day. Sometimes if the weather is extremely difficult, we actually ask some of our employees who live on Clare Island to come out from the island to feed the fish because it's too difficult to get to the site from the mainland.
How long does it take for a salmon to grow?
So for a salmon to grow, these fish here have actually been in the water since April in 2017. So they will be harvested now out before Christmas, but they've also spent a lot of time in freshwater on land. So it takes overall 3 years.
Do you export a lot of your fish, or where do you sell your fish to?
Yeah, so we export around 85% of our fish. Our main market would be France and Germany, and then also we sell into smaller markets like Dubai, and then we are actually selling into the United States where we sell to Amazon online, so
that's
we're
exciting.
Very proud of that one.
Now I know you go into retail and also to the hotel and hospitality industry in Ireland too.
Yeah, we have a great following in Ireland, and a lot of the smokers in Ireland prefer to use Irish and prefer to use organic.
It's a great success story. Thank you for having me down here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I've always wanted to come to Clare Island. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we're delighted that you did take time.
Thanks, Annette. Back to the mainland again to meet Liam Quinlan, who runs a successful fish business with his brothers Ronan and Fintan.
Started in '63. As the years went on, business grew. In the late '70s, we acquired some fishing boats and we got into that end of the business. Then in the early '80s, my father realised that, just selling fish on the hoof wasn't a viable business. You were at the mercy of the markets. So he came up with the idea that we opened a couple of fish shops. We kind of diversified off from selling fish in wholesale, which we still do quite a lot of, to selling fillets and selling smaller amounts in retail shops that people appreciate the quality and will pay a little extra for it. So hence, we had a better margin in the business. So we opened our first fish and chip restaurant in Killarney 8 years ago, and that's been a runaway success, and we've since opened 5 more of them. And the plans are in the coming 12 months to open another 2.
And it's all your own fish in the shop?
All our own fish, yeah, no middleman, no chain. Okay, the likes of the salmon and that you're buying in from the farms, but the majority of the stuff we're processing and handling ourselves, and we're guaranteeing the freshness of the product.
And do you have your own boats?
Not anymore. We sold the last of our boats in the last 6 months, but we have partnerships with 14 vessel owners that supply us every day of the week with fish.
And what variety of fish would you be catching here?
Quite a lot of hake, monkfish, turbot, brill, dory. Obviously the prime fish like black sole, that's smaller quantities, and the round fish like the cod, the haddock, the hake and the whiting, very, very good quantities of them. And
all your processing is just done in the factory?
All our processing is just done in the factory up here, so we'll go up now and we'll look at it. We haven't had a whole lot of whitefish this morning due to the weather, but we're processing Irish organic salmon today, and we're going to smoke them, and I'm going to show you how we do that now. How's that? Now, Now, Nevin, this is where the smoking process begins.
Okay.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll follow the fish that have come in this morning down here. So the first part of the process is where we take the head off the fish, and we'll also make an indentation in the skin so as to leave the salt penetrate into the fish.
And what weight are those fish?
Between 5 and 6 kilos in fish.
And what happens to heads?
The heads are sent to China, frozen in blocks. When the fish are finished heading, they go through the filleting machine over on this side here, which basically splits the fish into 2 pieces. Takes 95% of the hard work away and also 95% of the bones. There's a fella coming here now, he's coming out,
Yeah,
okay?
see it there.
Yeah. Split into 2 halves, bone removed. What happens then is we'll trim the fish. It goes through another machine here which takes out the little pin bones mechanically, otherwise you would be here for a day and a night. That will remove another 95% of what bones are left. All you're left with is 2 fellas in the neck and a fillet then.
Would this farm salmon be locally farmed?
This is actually from Dealish Island, which is only out around the corner here.
Ah.
So the food miles are pretty low.
Couldn't get pressure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, the beauty of that is there's traceability the whole way with that. Right, so Nevin, the fish coming out from the pin boning, the next stage is the salting, like I've said. So it's very important, not too much salt on the fish. The fish really needs to absorb what salt is there, and there should be no excess when the salting process is finished. Natural sea salt, nothing else added. Nothing else.
So you put some on the tray, so it's going to penetrate into the
From
skin.
underneath, and if you remember where we cut the fish before,
Okay.
you see that's coming up from underneath, okay?
Do you do any other kind of curing flavour?
We do one with seaweed, which is very popular, and we also do one with rose petals for Valentine's Day. We did last year gone by, this year gone by.
How romantic.
I'm telling you, I'm a romantic at heart. These are left salt away here for approximately 8 to 9 hours, depending on the size of the fish. Here we are at one of the smokers, Nevin, and we fish in the oven that we'll have a look at now. So yes, these are nearly ready.
How do you know?
Well, if you look at the tail of the fish,
Yes.
tail is starting to rise, which means the fish is dry. The drier the product, the tastier the product, as well as it'll last longer. You need to dry the fish in order for the smoke to penetrate the fish. And if you can look, the longer you dry it, you're bringing out the oil, the natural oil,
yeah.
natural oil in the fish, okay?
And is it any particular smoke?
This is oak and beech.
Oak.
The oak is very strong, very, very tarry.
Yeah.
So we mix a bit of beech with that now, just to take the...
And then for how long have they been in there?
They've been in there now since yesterday evening, 5 o'clock. So we're 18 hours.
And how many sides would you have in that smoker?
There's 300 sides in that oven now.
And how do you actually dry the fish before you smoke it?
When they come out of the salt, like I've showed you below, we pat them by hand, make sure they're totally dry, go into the oven. We further dry them in the oven. You extract all the moisture for a further 10 hours. After that, you close your chamber and you smoke the fish. The smoke is penetrating the fish for another 8 to 9 hours.
Does the smoke cook the fish?
No, it preserves as opposed to cooking.
Cold or hot smoking?
Cold smoking,
And the temperature?
26 degrees. No higher, or you're going to cook the fish. You won't be able to slice your fish properly then. If you don't use the proper level of smoke, you're not preserving the fish properly either.
And after it's smoked, what happens then?
After smoke, we chill it, and then it comes into the packing room here, where I'll show you now, and we'll go in there.
Okay.
All right?
Thanks very much.
So, Nevin, fish is smoked now out of the oven. We've left it to relax for a while. So here, Sean, our master smoker, is just starting to trim and slice them.
It reminds me of when we were on our trips in Spain, the Iberico ham, the way they slice.
The same method, yes. And if you're ever to slice the side of smoked salmon like that, always slice from the tail and at an angle like Sean is doing. And when you're finished, fold the skin back over on top of the fish again. It'll stop it from drying out.
So he's trimmed it up, removed any little excess bone.
Any excess bone, any excess skin, then they're put into packets, sell in our own retail shop or exported throughout Europe, where we can have it anywhere in Europe 24 hours.
Where do you export?
All over Europe, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, New York, and every country in Europe, as well as our own retail shops then throughout Ireland.
Any chance of tasting a wee bit?
You better be quick.
No better, man. You're looking for moisture, light smoke?
You're looking for moisture, a little bit of salt, smoke.
Thank you. I take a bit of here. Good man.
It's moist. Look, there's a bit of marbling in the flesh.
Yes.
Not too much skin pellicle, and you can smell the smoke.
Yeah. And this is just the one we've seen, the same smoke.
Yeah.
It's really moist. It's soft.
No, very, very good. Melt in your mouth. So you can see with what we started with and what you have now, you've removed quite a lot.
And will any of these little bits, do you use that up in anything at all?
We'll use them for patty.
Clever.
For making smoked salmon patty.
So no waste.
No waste. No waste.
Liam, it's been fascinating.
Glad you enjoyed
Smoked
it,
salmon.
Nevin.
It's been brilliant. Thanks for your time. Brilliant.
you.
And a delicious product.